Alright, we're striking while the iron is hot.
Iran has said it blames America and President Trump.
Israel's Prime Minister has been asking the US to join the war against Iran.
If these strikes continue to intensify, this will result in the United States getting dragged in.
Things are escalating at a very fast rate in Middle East, and it seems US may get dragged into it. Just yesterday, Israel officially asked the US to join the military campaign against Iran, but US rejected the request. Then today, we had President Trump saying that maybe we'll get involved in the future. Now, this is something we covered yesterday already, but there's only two situations where US gets involved in this war. One, if the US troops or US workers are attacked. And second, oil. Now we'll get to the oil part in just a second, because we have had a lot of escalation in regards of attacking each other's oil refineries and oil assets today. But before we do that, let's go over the US workers. Just today, we had an extremely close call at the US Embassy in Iraq. US forces shoot down a suicide drone near the US General Consulate in Idlib, Iraq. Iranian proxy groups operating in Iraq are likely
This shit up.
behind the attack. Here's the clip of the drone. Now, this consulate is not operating at its full capacity, but we still have US citizens, US workers working for the government there. So it's definitely going to be a huge deal if we do have any kind of attack at the embassy. What's even more worrying is we already have a big protest going on right outside the zone where the embassy is located. Here's the clip of the protest. These are definitely concerning developments, and we'll keep you guys updated if anything does happen. So be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It helps you keep up with our future.
Let me go get my glick. Bacon wrapped Glicatini.
Videos, and it also helps us out in the algorithm. Now let's talk about the interview President Trump just gave today. I just want to talk about this quote he said. Trump said that US is not involved offensively in the current Israel-Iran war, but it's possible we could get involved. Now, of course, I will put this disclaimer here. Trump loves to talk a lot, especially with journalists, so we don't want to put too much weight on what he's saying just in an interview casually. Yeah, that is a possibility, especially if things keep escalating in the Middle East. This is a post he just made yesterday. The US had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. Now, pay attention to the wording he's using. He's talking about the attack, very specifically referring to the offensive that Israel carried out. Now, continuing with the tweet. If we were attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and the might of the US armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict. With his comments, with his statements, and even with his actions, Trump seems very adamant that US is not going to get involved unless American lives are at risk. In fact, we had a bombshell report come out just today that proves Trump's position. Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iranian supreme leader. Now, according to the report, this plan likely took place in the last 2 days, possibly.
Oh, wait. bust. You're nuts. A boots.
On the night when Israel started this operation, Operation Rising Lion. Here's an interesting quote that someone said Trump told Israel, and this is the quote. Have the Iranians killed an American yet? No. Until they do, we're not even talking about going after the political leadership. Now, the most shocking part of this report was the fact that this came out around 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, so yesterday, and just an hour after that, Israeli Prime Minister did an interview with Fox News, and he was asked about this specifically. This is what he had to say.
There's so many false reports of conversations that never happened, and I'm not going to get into that, but I can tell you, I think that we do what we need to do. We'll do what we need to do, and I think the United States knows what is good for the United States, and I'm just not going to get into it.
Now, I've been listening to politicians way too much in my free time, and I picked up something here. He did not say that this report was false. He said that there have been so many false reports, I'm not going to address it.
Proof in the Discord
Of what?
of Trump actually, you know, it's not actually about
I'll read it
Israel.
later. I'm on video games right now.
Not reading it. I linked to the exact minute
Now,
too.
I don't know about you guys. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think he was just trying to politically not answer the question in a very politician way, but he did not deny the report. And if we think about it, it makes sense that Trump would not want to approve an assassination of a country's leader because that sets a very bad precedent. You don't want to make political assassination a common trend, especially when dealing with terrorist states like Iran, Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Anyways, talking about the second point, the second reason US could get involved in this war is oil. Now, no one in the administration has publicly said this, but I think we all know how.
The whole goal chat is the dispatch of the Hydra completely, not just cutting off one head so then two more could take its place.
Important oil is to US administration and of course US consumers. Now, Sunday was a big day in terms of escalation against oil assets in both countries, Israel and Iran. Here's more details about what happened to oil assets in Iran on Sunday morning.
This morning I read that there was an oil field that was hit, but that oil field is co-owned by Iran and Qatar. What kind of worries are there, or anything you can see as far as the possibility that this now could expand?
This is a really great question, and I also have some reporting on this. And I just want to think through our sourcing on this. This was someone,
what are you going to court for?
an
Like
official
traffic
familiar with this oil field and this gas field. You raise an important point. This is a shared gas field. It's the largest field in the world. And on the Iranian side, it starts near to the city of Bandar Abbas in the south. But it goes over, and the Qataris and the Americans are invested in the other side of the gas field. And I spoke with a source who described the Israeli strike against that as a dangerous escalation, because there is concern that if ultimately that gas field is targeted and the Iranians start to respond in the region, that American interests and assets could be hit or affected. And it could lead to an increase in energy prices. It could lead to American forces or embassies in the region coming under attack. And so there are certainly officials in this part of the world that are concerned about the location of these strikes. But the bottom line here is that the Israelis understand the next step up on the escalation ladder for them is going after the energy infrastructure in Iran, the very infrastructure that the regime uses to fund their ballistic missile program that they then use to fire at Israeli cities like the one that we're in central Israel and hit buildings like the one behind me. And so it's all connected. And the region is watching very closely to see what comes next.
Now, Sunday evening American time, Iranians actually hit back and they attacked oil assets in Israel, in Haifa. And we'll get to that in just a second. But for now, let's talk about the Iranian oil assets. And a lot of countries are dependent on this. China gets roughly 80 to 90% of Iranian oil. So if anything anything happens to Iranian oil supply, China is going to face a minor energy crisis, and this is how more and more countries could get involved in this war. Secondly, if the oil escalation keeps on going, that's the bad part about the war. Once you escalate, you don't know where the escalation is going to stop. Iran could decide to just block off the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it's not a likely scenario, but it is possible. It could happen. And Iran doesn't need a powerful enemy to block off Strait of Hormuz, because we saw this in the Red Sea with the Houthis. All they had to do is attack one or two ships, and then the whole shipping industry all around the world just stops going through that choke point. Well, Strait of Hormuz is quite possibly more important than the Red Sea, because 1/5 of the oil supply for the entire world passes through this strait. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, and Iran. All these Gulf countries use Strait of Hormuz to ship their oil tankers. So it's definitely one of the most important straits in the world, and if Iran even tries to blockade it, US Navy is gonna get involved to guarantee freedom of navigation. Now let's shift our focus to Israel, because just last night, Iranians used quite possibly a new type of missiles, a more powerful and precise missile to target Israeli energy assets. Now this clip is most definitely gonna get this video demonetized, but it's important to understand the whole context. So I'm gonna show you guys. In return, I just have one favor to ask. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below, and let's look at the clip.
Tell him you'll suck his willy or something. Put you on. Tell him to get you like a $3,000 PC.
Now, I'm recording this Sunday night, and according to early reports, it seems two, quite possibly three ballistic missiles got through the Israeli defense and hit the oil refinery. This is Israel's largest oil refinery in Haifa. Now, this is a pretty big deal because Israel has a multi-layer air defense system with the US that's supposed to stop things like this. And the fact that two or possibly three missiles got through to hit one of the most important targets inside Israel is quite concerning. Now, Monday morning, we'll have more information about what exactly went wrong or what Iran is doing to beat their defenses, so we'll be sure to keep you guys updated with the live stream. But as of now, according to many military experts, the missiles that Iran launched at Israel in the latest barrage were very accurate and different from those that Iran has used so far. Now, this is something the Iranian foreign minister did say when he went on national TV on Sunday. He said something like Iran has weapons that Israel has not seen yet, and they're going to use them on Sunday. But then again, this is where I want to put the disclaimer. Iranian leadership always talks like that. They always talk in cryptic ways, saying they have some secret weapons that no one has seen before. But this time, that may be accurate. Again, we'll know more on Monday morning, but as of now, Sunday night, this is definitely concerning. As of now, Israeli air defense has been pretty successful. As successful as you would expect any air defense to be against ballistic missiles. Israel uses the Iron Dome, which is really only useful against rockets that Hamas uses, Hezbollah uses, but they also have the David Sling and the Arrow 2 and 3. They are very useful against ballistic missiles, but on top of that, US has also loaned them Patriot missiles and the THAAD system. These THAAD system cost around $800 million, and each interceptor that the THAAD uses is around $12 million. Definitely very expensive, but it's very successful. It's the best air defense in the world, especially against ballistic missiles which travel through space. So the THAAD system takes out the missiles in space. Very effective, but Iran knows how to overwhelm the air defense system. Where every time Iran launches an attack, they're launching like 50 ballistic missiles at a time. So even if the air defense system, all of them combined, stop like 95% of the missiles, which is a very high percentage, one or two still get through and they deal devastating damage. Here's more details on that.
And there is a damage for some building. We take off all the fire and search after injuries and trampled people.
Are you worried that there could be people under the rubble?
Yeah, until we not get into the building, we are still worried that there is some people.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. And so you can see this is a local fire personnel. There are medics on the scene, but he just there talked about what is the biggest concern right now, Ashley, and that is the possibility that there are people trapped under the rubble and debris from these collapsed buildings. And that's really in the minutes and hours ahead, and these are critical minutes because if people are injured and they survive the initial blast, they want to get to them as quickly as possible. In the distance, they're currently setting up a tent. We have seen this tent before, and this tent is used for people to check in the neighborhood, and they will give their names and they will give their addresses and any relatives or friends or family members that they have in the area to ensure that they can account for everyone. Right now, there are people unaccounted for. You heard directly from that local fire chief. Still, as we speak right now, Ashley, and you're going to see it in a moment, they are bringing in stretchers, preparing for the worst. We'll be very careful about what we show you here live. And in the distance, there are ambulances, and they're waiting to just see. And here's one of those orange stretchers that's being taken in by these first responders on the scene who immediately rushed to this site. Again, when we arrived here, everything was on fire.
This is the Iranian people just leaving Tehran because that's how badly the Israeli jets are destroying the city. Perfect. We got a lot of traffic is insane. We'll get into the maps in just 1 second. Well, Gus, so Iran had some F-14s and they had a lot of Russian jets, but all of them were pretty much destroyed in the first night. So right when the operation started, Israel destroyed pretty much all the Iranian jet power or air force. And even if they have the jets that they can use, they know they don't stand a chance against Israeli F-16s, Israeli F-35s. So they're not even going, they're not going in the air to have a dogfight with Israeli jets because they don't have the firepower that Israel has. So they're just not risking it.
That's true. Why the fuck would they want to risk it?
Now, this is just like one road, one clip, and I can understand if you guys want to just say like, hey, what if this is just an isolated road? But that's not the case. If you look at Google Maps, which I'm thinking this is Google Map, I'm not 100% if Google is available in Iran, but you can see how much traffic there is leaving the city. Everyone's trying to leave the city because the damages have been insane. A lot of government officials and military leaders live in Tehran. So Israel is going after them, and the citizens are just out. They don't want to deal with this. There are a lot of citizens who are also angry at the government, not for the reason you would think. They're angry that the government is not putting up a fight. They're angry that the Iranian government is not attacking Israel as hard as they should. And here's more footage of people just leaving the city. There's a traffic jam. That's how much people are trying to I'm guessing Smokey. I don't know where they're trying to go. I'm guessing they're just trying to go to the farther towns where Israel's probably not bombing as much, because Israel's really trying to go after Tehran where the leadership is, and they're destroying nuclear facilities. Which one is in Nansa, which has been pretty badly destroyed or pretty badly damaged. There's another one, I can't remember the name, but it's in the mountains. So they're going after that right now. We'll get to that in just a second. We're going through all the news. Let's watch this clip. HB Lee, a lot of rich guys, I'm guessing Iran, they definitely have some businessmen who are rich, but a lot of the rich guys are part of the government. I don't know if they are leaving. One thing IRGC announced yesterday was that anyone who works for the IRGC who doesn't show up for their duty, who's trying to flee the country, they will be considered a traitor. So you really can't leave if you work for the government. But a lot of the families of high officials are leaving the country. They're not even just leaving the city, they're leaving the country. They're going to Russia, and I'm guessing they're going to any friendly country that Iran has.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be
Kwasi, I don't exactly know how long the war will last, but Israel's going after a lot of things in Iran, and it's not just limited to nuclear facilities anymore, and it's not just limited to military equipment. They're going after much more stuff where it seems like Israel wants to destabilize the regime. Now, Israel cannot just overthrow the government by just bombing Iran, but what it can do is weaken Iran so much, weaken the regime so much that other groups, other anti-government factions inside Iran can rise up and overthrow the government. But then again, that would mean that the Iranian people need to revolt against the government. Israel cannot just overthrow the government.
Yeah. And that's why fucking they're being so specific with what they're attacking. Because they just want to fucking basically get the leaders, so that way the people can fucking do it for themselves. Like I said before, if you just cut off the head, 2 more shall take its place. It's like fucking Hydra. You can't do that. The people are the ones that have to fucking destabilize the government.
Oh, see, all the roads leaving the city are just jam-packed. It is insane. By the way, we got almost 2,500 people. If you're just joining in, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It really does help us out with the algorithm. And now we see some damages that the Israeli strikes are having on the Tehran mainly. We have some footage of the damages in the nuclear facilities too, but those footage are not as close to like the city because there are a lot of people in the city and they're recording and uploading everything. This is a very, very, very loud footage. So just a warning for everyone. So Yodiland, yeah, talking about US getting dragged into this, we'll talk about this in just a second. Now, Iran clearly does not want US getting dragged into this, and they're actually making that clear too. Even though publicly they're sending warnings to US, publicly the Iranian regime has said that if US continues to defend Israel against the Iranian missiles, then Iran will start attacking US bases. They kind of have to say that, right? Yeah. They already look really weak against the Iranian people, and they cannot just, sit there and take it all because that will risk like domestic instability. So they're making some statements that seems like they're against US, but in reality, Iran and the Iranian government, even the Ayatollah, does not want US to get involved because Israel's already destroying them. If US gets involved too, they're not going to have a good time. And the reason we know this is a couple of things. First of all, if they really, really wanted to put pressure on the world, they would shut down Strait of Hormuz. That's where like a lot of the countries, a lot of the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, even Iran, a lot of these countries transport their oil using Strait of Hormuz. I wonder if I can pull it up right here. Let me pull up the map. Strait of Hormuz. Right here. Okay, I got the map right here. So if you guys see right here, this is Strait of Hormuz, this is Iran, and Saudi Arabia, even Iraq, even UAE. A lot of these countries use that waterway to send out oil to the rest of the world. So if Iran really wanted to like be a nuisance to the whole world, not just Israel, they could shut this down. But that would mean almost 99% that US would get involved. Remember when, just on the other side, I wonder if we can get a bigger picture. Is there a bigger, right here? Okay, it's not a full picture. This is kind of small. Let me find a better picture. Strait of Hormuz, and what is the other thing called? Red Sea. Okay, so do you guys remember just a few months ago, right here, Houthis were trying to shut down this choke point. I think it's called Bab al-Mandab Strait. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly. And US got involved. They started sending B-2s. We started sending B-2s against the Houthi targets. Iran does not want US to do that again. So Iran's not going to shut down Strait of Hormuz. But if Iran wanted US to get involved on the Israeli side, this is what they would do. Now, other thing Iran could do for US to get involved is they could go after the US bases in the Middle East. Now, yesterday, actually, we had 3 drones attacking a US base in Iraq, or at least some area where the US soldiers are. That's where like we house the US soldiers. But that was probably not Iran sanctioned. It was a group probably backed by Iran, but I doubt Ayatollah is personally approving those attacks because those were like pretty regular drones. US bases in Iraq have been under constant attacks. And when I say attacks, these aren't like big attacks. 3 drones, all of them got taken down. But if there is a serious attack against US bases in the Middle East, then US would be involved for sure. But I don't think Iran wants that. So that's some good news. But then again, that's the problem with war, right? Once you start a war, you don't know how it's going to escalate, how fast it's going to escalate. But let's finish this clip. Let's watch it again for all the people who are joining in, and then we'll move forward. So this is Tehran. For everyone who's just joining in, this is Tehran. Yes, Will 22, there is some government opposition in Iran against the Iranian government, but also a lot of the clips that we're seeing online, we see protests happening in Iran, but we have to keep in mind, a lot of these protests that are happening in Iran, they're not happening against the government. Especially just 2 days ago when we saw a lot of clips of the protests, we covered it in the live stream. Those protests were happening because the Iranian people wanted the government to strike Israel. So the protest was kind of in support of the government. They weren't against the government. Now, I have more footage of the damage in Tehran. We'll get there in just a second, but it's not just Tehran. It's not just Iran. This is where we have to talk about. Iran has a very successful missile program, and they have a lot of ballistic missiles. And I think they have used like 7-8 waves. So they have attacked Israel with ballistic missiles multiple times. Now, Israel does have a lot of air defenses. They have the Iron Dome, which is really not useful against ballistic missiles. Iron Dome really goes after like rockets and stuff that Hamas and Hezbollah has. It doesn't really go after the ballistic missile, but they have the David Sling and they have the Arrow. Those are really useful against ballistic missiles, and they also have a lot of US air defenses that we have loaned them, I think. They have the Patriot missile, and they also have the THAAD system, which is the world's best, basically. THAAD system, it can shoot down ballistic missiles in the space. So not even in the atmosphere, it's shooting it down in the space. But the problem with all this is the interceptor. You know, there's a limit to how many ballistic missiles these air defenses can take down. What Iran is doing is they're just overwhelming all the air defenses. So that's.
Damn, dude. So basically, fucking motherfuckers are built on some goddamn Transformers shit, like some Wakanda Forever. Holy crap. Oh shit. That sounds pretty crazy. I mean, I would hope so if you're getting fucking attacked by like every fucking place on the planet. God damn. Anyways, hope you guys like this video. Make sure to go check out Business Basics. Leave a like in his leave a like down below. Subscribe to his channel. Come back here, check out the Kick and the Twitch, and make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you.